Hey guys, Rich with Rich Rebuilds here, and a year and a half ago I bought a car that was submerged in salt water for days. I replaced everything in the car, got it running, and gave the rolling science experiment to my wife to drive for a year and 15,000 miles. And you know what? Surprisingly, I got it running and it never broke down, and I think the entire universe is surprised that I got it running in the first place, never mind it not breaking down and coming to a grinding halt after the first 5 minutes. And even though there's less moving parts in an EV than a typical gas-powered car, you still have to maintain them. So this series will be about fixing the issues that have come up with the car over the last 15,000 miles. Now, last episode there were a bunch of things wrong. The taillight seals were causing water to get into the rear of the car, the headlights flickering, trunk position unknown, the inability to even get into the trunk, the air suspension not working, axle clicking, MCU screen leaking, and a strange clunk coming from the passenger front side of the car. Today we're going to focus on why the front end of the car won't even raise off the ground so I can actually drive the thing. So we'll be troubleshooting what appears to be some kind of strange grounding problem. It's going to be a step-by-step troubleshooting type of video so you can see exactly what my thought process is as I resolve issues with the car. And as a side note, if you think the issues I'm having are a result of the flood the car was in, your innocent misguidance is charming and you are forgiven. This car was stripped down to a bare shell and every wiring harness was replaced. What you are now seeing are common issues that older Tesla Model S's can face. Now before I get into the episode, did I mention that I was opening up a shop? Did you guys miss that? Maybe the last 5 episodes or so. But I'm opening up a shop to fix and service EVs, and I'm also running a crowdfunding campaign for it. So check that out when you get the chance in the link in the description below. You can donate, share, blog about it. I don't care what you do, just have fun with it. So first things first, I want to attempt to get under the hood of the car. And of course the actuator is broken. When I click on the key itself, it won't unhinge the hood, so I'm kind of screwed here. If you're a long-time subscriber, you remember the time I locked my frunk with a dead battery and also managed to disconnect the hood emergency lever underneath the dashboard and disconnect all electrical connections going to said release lever, effectively screwing myself. Well, to fix it, I had to take the nose cone off the car, drill a small hole, and use an inspection camera to fish a hanger through the frunk tub and unlatch the hood that way. Well, thankfully I still have that workaround in place to get into the frunk. So let's get into my nose cone. And to get in, we're going to use my favorite tool ever, my handy kitchen knife. Now I can't just take the knife to the nose cone like some barbarian. I have to use some finesse and cover it up with a microfiber cloth so I don't scratch the cone silly. Now I'm sure you're asking why I didn't use a credit card or pry tool. Well, save your breath. The nose cone pops out pretty easily, and here's the workaround that I made from the last video. This is half of a coat hanger so I can easily pull and open the frunk. Why didn't I use the release cable in the cabin of the car? Well, I never reconnected it, so whatever. And again, this comes in handy if you need to get in the frunk, your 12-volt battery is dead, even with the jump, and you can't get in. Now that I share this with the world, everyone knows that you could break into my frunk by simply popping off my nose cone. I've been exposed. Well, we open the frunk and you hear that sound. Those are the cooling pumps freaking out. They're ramping up and ramping back down over and over again, so there's clearly something fishy going on. But first things first, we're going to look and see why the headlight isn't working. I'm going to pop off both connectors to see if I can replace these customized headlights with new ones. And the second one was a little tougher, so I'm going to use my kitchen knife for assistance here. Now, I didn't see any corrosion in the connectors, so I'm thinking there's some kind of short in the custom headlights that I made, causing them to flicker and cause other issues. So I'm just going to get these new headlights, insert the connector back into the new ones to see what the response is. Alright, now that I've replaced them, let's see what the response is. And they don't work. The same headlight is out. Let's look under the hood. Is the car lying to me? No, it's not. The headlight is out. So these headlights were clearly not the problem. Let's get them out of here and investigate a little bit further. At this point, I'm pretty certain it's a ground issue, so I'm going to take some water and wash off the salt and sand in the frunk. Now, I can troubleshoot things better once I wash all the grime and dirt away from the harnesses, and you're probably freaking out, but this part of the car was designed to get wet. Now that that's done, let's check it out one more time and let's see if the headlight works now. What do you know? The headlight actually works. That means there's some kind of corrosion built up somewhere, and I bet you it's around the main ground points up at the front of the car's frame rails. Now we're going to disconnect the safety responders loop near the battery, then we're going to loosen the nuts on the grounding point on the driver's side frame rail. Now that those are off, I'm going to take some mild sandpaper and clean off those ring terminals very well. This is more than likely the problem that the car is having, as these studs are prone to getting salt, sand, and road grime between these ring terminals and cause a bad connection. We're also going to clean the stud off itself, and lastly I'm going to clean the back of the nut as well, and to top everything off, putting some dielectric grease on the terminals so this doesn't happen again. Now for the next side, same procedure, except the grounding point is a little bit trickier as it's tucked behind two harnesses, but it's the same idea. You take the nut off, sand the terminals down, sand the stud down itself, sand the nut, and then put dielectric grease back on it so it doesn't happen again. So let's hop back in the car now and enjoy the fruits of my labor. And the car is dead. Oh yeah, I forgot to reattach the safety cut loop. Alright, now, let's turn the car on and see. No more air suspension messes on the dash, and you'll also see that the front end of the car is raised an inch, and the rear end lowered itself by half an inch. So the car has leveled itself, and the air suspension is now working. Now let's get back into the car and make sure both headlights work, and they do. Hazards work as well. Well, they always work, but I just like the way the amber looks against the black headlights, and I wanted to show off a little bit. So let's get back to the hood latch position unknown error. I'm going to remove the connector that goes to the hood latch and do the same thing I did before. Remove the connectors, get any excess water out, sand them down, and voila! I got rid of that error message as well. The only thing special I did for the connector under the hood was get a terminal cleaning kit from Amazon. A link to that kit is in the description below, and this is what helped me get some of the gunk out of the terminals. This is actually a really good kit, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so the next problem I was having was the clunk in the front suspension from the last video. I'm going to take this time to replace my lug nuts because the lug nuts that the Tesla comes with are softer than baby shit for some reason, and the lug nut covers are a disaster to take off. Sometimes they get stuck on there pretty good, so I'm going to replace my old lug nuts with ones from Gorilla. George from New York sent me these, and the best ones I've used so far. If you want to replace your stock lug nuts on your Tesla Model S, they are M14 by 1.5 lugs. So yeah, we're going to jack the car about an inch off the ground, and I'm going to check for excessive play in the wheel and try to figure out what that clunking noise was. Maybe a tie rod or a wheel bearing. So I'm going to check forward and back, and I'm going to try to shake the wheel side to side, and there's no play whatsoever. Alright, let me take the wheel off with my trusty Milwaukee. And still nothing. Alright. Let's move on to my headlights. I'm going to take a break from this real quick, and I'm going to circle back to it in a couple minutes. So, I'm going to remove these headlights and replace them with my OEM ones. I'll be making a brighter Generation 2 version of these red and black headlights, so the stock ones will go back on for now. Just in case you've never removed Tesla headlights before, they're pretty easy. You want to pop the hood first, loosen the front bumper bracket to allow easier removal of the headlight. Then you'll want to remove the screw that secures the headlight to the front radiator support. You'll also see waterproof tape on the headlights. Don't even worry about that. Mind your business. Then we move on to the top mount of the headlight. And after that, we go to the one that secures the front bumper to the fender. You want to loosen this one so that you get access to yet another screw holding the side of the headlight to the fender front bracket. And after a few minutes of getting creative, ta-da! And to put this one in, you follow the same steps. Now, I was thinking about this the entire time I was putting the car back together, well into the nighttime. I checked the entire suspension up and down, nothing was sticking out to me, and then I went back to the basics. I replayed the sound in my head, and guess what? Let me check the glove box. Son of a bitch, it was the charging adapter I had rattling around there the entire time. False alarm, boys and girls. Well, we covered a lot of ground today. Next episode, I'm fixing everything wrong with my broken Tesla. We're going to discuss preventing your car from turning into a swimming pool and also how to buy yourself more time with the 12-volt battery in the car. If you haven't already, there are 2 places I want you to check out. 1, my Indiegogo for my crowdfunding campaign, which is for my shop. And number 2, my Instagram, @RichieBKid. Stay tuned for the next episode, and I will see you guys soon.